but Monie is here. Monie is here right now. How are you doing? How you doing first and foremost?
Good. Can't complain.
Good.
I'm over here bumping to that music.
Come on. Now, shout out to Stolen Drums. That is the soundtrack of what we do here. Pearl DeVere already getting started. She said, the feeling when two of the best YouTube commentators are on the same live.
Hey.
Come on now.
What's up?
What you don't know is I'm a cousin. What you don't know is I'm a cousin, Pearl. I'm gonna just let you know right now.
I'm gonna be a liar.
Okay, there it is. So today what we're doing is this, DIYers. Welcome on in. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you do all that good stuff. And actually, while we're having this conversation, I gotta make sure, that's the last step I forgot. I gotta plug your YouTube into the description. But just to get it started, here's how Monie got on my radar. Obviously, during this whole Kendrick Lamar versus Drake situation, the ongoing things that go around and surrounding it, but then also just culture commentary on YouTube, I kept seeing your content pop up. And I kept finding myself wanting to watch more and more. And the thing that really got me, this is when I said, okay, I'm a cousin for life. You reacted to the content where I was interviewing Whitney's cousin, Be Fresh, right? Kendrick Lamar, okay, Whitney, yeah. Cousins, Be Fresh. And you said something in it that I don't hear many YouTubers say. You were like, so we're reacting to this video, but I want to make sure that you go watch the whole thing over there with Curtis, because I want him to make sure he gets that viewership. And I'm like, you know what? Integrity? What? Integrity in this space? That exists? So I said I'm a cousin for life, but also, too, I just think that your commentary is so high IQ. Your commentary is so on par. Your voice is so needed in this space where it feels like some videos just steal your brain cells. So I'm greatly appreciating you being here.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me. And also, yeah, when I watched the video, and I'm like, I haven't watched the full video, the full interview yet, but right. I want to go back and sit down and actually relax and watch it, because this is a serious topic and this is an important person that's close to someone. So I'm like, I don't want to take this from him. He put in the work to get this interview. He deserves to have all eyes on his platform. So I'm like, that's what we're gonna do. And I'm like, especially one day I might have an interview. I wouldn't want anyone to take it from me, And plus, we got morals around here. Like,
come on now. And I'm gonna go ahead and just go on a limb and say, ain't no maybe. That's gonna happen. I really do see your space. I see your space is going to be one of those places that, as we go into this shift, as we literally watch the party die around us, and people are requesting a different type of media presence, a different type of commentary, a different type of even opinionated commentary, because I feel like that's evolving right before our eyes. You're going to be a stop that people have to go through, or get to go through if you allow them, first of all. But I do feel like there's a level of maturity with your content. There's a level of just evolution around the commentary space. Let me ask you this. What got you into this space, first of all, of YouTube, but then secondly, I guess more specifically, into the culture commentary space?
Right. So I can't necessarily, well, I would say this. When I was young, I used to write a lot. And I had a teacher that would always push me and tell me like I was very good at, writing stories, covering things. Back in the day where they used to give you like the little picture prompts. So, you would put something together from it. So I was really good at that. And so because the teacher had so much faith in me, I'm like, okay, this is really something that I like to do. So I ended up getting like my associates in journalism.
Wow. Okay.
Stopped going to school. I would have like little small pages on like Tumblr where I was covering like hot topics, little small things. Then there was this magazine that I became a part of called Don't Trip, and I would contribute to them. But then I stopped, and then I randomly picked it up again, went back to school. but was now studying criminology and criminal justice. And I'm like, I can put these two together. And I'm like, I like the hot topics. I like covering the trending topics. I'm like, let's try YouTube.
Come on.
Instead of it being like blog style. So I'm like,
Right.
let's try YouTube or whatever. And plus, it can help me with like, sometimes I have social anxiety where I don't want to talk to people.
Sure.
And I'm like, I can just talk to my camera, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, let's see how this works. So I would just upload here and there. It wasn't really taking off like that. But one day I just decided, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take this serious.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the last 2 months, I've been very consistent with my YouTube.
Yes, you have.
And it's been growing. So, and I'm really pleased with that. And plus, like I, like I said, I went to school, so I'm like, I could kind of use my degrees of what I got, journalism, criminology, and investigating, and put it together and see how it works for me on YouTube. And it's been working. So, and I appreciate everybody that's embraced me,
Come on.
you know, because here's this new girl in the YouTube streets. Not many women in the commentary space, especially
Right.
when it comes to like hip hop on YouTube or whatever. So I'm like, this can work for me. And a lot of the women, they comment and say they appreciate me being in this space. So
Right.
I'm like, I gotta hold it down for us.
And you do.
So
You I'm
here I
telling you, you
am.
do. Hell yeah, you do. And you do it in a way that I feel like sometimes, especially when you talk about something like the Drake content, even like the top five. First of all, if I was top five, I feel very nervous about having you on my story because when you said you had what was it the criminal, what was it history that you studied? Was it the criminal law?
Criminology and criminal
Criminology.
justice.
I would be nervous because he was on there talking crazy last week. But aside from that, I do hear a certain amount of like, I don't care who you're covering, but let's just say Drake. When you're covering these stories, there's a level of like big sis advice. Like, fam,
Yeah,
sir, sit down somewhere.
yeah.
Do you see that
You're not
everything's
moving
burning
right.
around you? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like you're not moving it right. Like I don't think you have somebody, a
Mm,
woman, a black woman in your family, in your space that could tell you you need to relax.
yeah, yeah.
Like you probably got all these yes men around you. They're trying to please you, do whatever you say. And it's just like you need that one person that's gonna tap you on your shoulder and say, bro, this ain't right.
What?
This ain't right. So I
Yeah.
kind of put that in my videos. Sometimes I don't want to really give too much of my opinion
Mm,
because I sometimes want people to, take take whatever it is that I'm telling them for themselves. So like sometimes even when I like have stories that I'm covering and I'm like, I don't know if this is true or not, y'all.
yeah.
So, but I'm gonna tell them. I tell my cousins, look, I don't know if it's true or not. Take it for what you want and make your own decision on it. Even though I'm giving you my opinion,
Mhm.
you don't gotta agree with me. So I just like to give big sis advice. Sometimes, even though I'm a little sis as well, so
Right. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Like the to me, it never really mattered the age
mhm,
difference in these situations as much as
yeah,
it's a matter of you have a vantage point of a situation. This is where I feel like even with the content I do, I have a vantage point where sometimes when you lit, everything is going crazy for you. Nobody can, like you said, you
right,
got a bunch of yes men around you. How much do you take into consideration when it's like I'm the one that got me here? I
mhm,
must hold all the answers, but it's like, no, no, no. If you only had the POV that we have in these reaction clips where it's like, oh, I can see this a mile away.
yeah,
Sometimes, the message in the rearview mirror where it says objects may appear closer than what they
than
may
what they
seem.
are.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm,
I think sometimes it's what I call a proximity bias is that they're so close to the problem that they can't properly assess
right.
the direction it's heading in.
Mhm.
So that's why I really believe your commentary is so important, and I'm glad to see you in this space. You alluded to something. I want to hear it from your perspective. What is it about a
Mhm.
black woman's advice? You talking to somebody that got a black mama, grandmothers, aunties, and all
Mhm.
that, so I understand it. But for those who may
Yeah.
not understand why this is packaged up different, what is it about a black woman's advice that when listened to can save you from a lot of issues.
Listen, if whoever's listening and watching this, if you have a Black woman in your life and she comes and she sits you down and tells you, baby, that ain't right, listen to her, okay? Because 9 times out of 10, it ain't right. Y'all already know the situation with What's the Dirt now. I done told that man 3-4 times, it ain't gonna be fun for you.
Sheesh.
When that video dropped, it's not gonna be fun for you. And it wasn't fun for him.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's because, and I don't want to get all like stereotypical racial or anything like that, but it's like, as Black women, I feel like we always have to be strong. We also have to be correct with certain things. And it's like, we see stuff before it can happen. Well, at least for me, I'll speak for me. Like sometimes I feel as though I can see things before it happens, whether it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. And again, I saw the situation for what it was a mile away. Like, bro, this isn't gonna end well for you.
Right.
If you don't take this serious. And I was correct.
I say you was.
Haven't gotten an apology. I don't expect one. But whatever. But I just feel like people depend on us. And sometimes there's a element of us wanting to save people from things.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we mean well, because we know we can see the situation coming. And we just want everybody to get things right.
Yeah.
And we go in it sometimes with an open heart, and we go into it with an open mind of like, no, honey, don't do that. Let me help you save yourself from yourself. But again, like, I ain't saying listen to every Black woman you come across, because there's some of us that be falling. There's some of us who ain't right.
Right.
But 9 times out of 10, if someone sits you down repeatedly to give you some good advice, 9 times out of 10 they mean well. And in that situation, I meant well for him.
Yeah.
But yeah,
to be specific,
can't help everybody.
You can't, because then also too, what I realize is that sometimes as men, I shouldn't say sometimes, we be stubborn as hell. I for sure be stubborn as hell. Let me just go ahead and say that, especially because my wife is a Black woman, and she for sure has advised me against certain things, and my stubborn bullheadedness. I jump into a situation, I'm like, no, this is what I got to do.
Yeah.
And then I pay the price, and she look at me like, usually it's overworking. I'm a workaholic to the fullest. So I hear from my wife, she'll be like, you spend a lot of time on that phone. I'm like, it's work related. It's work related. And like, you spend a lot of time.
I hear that mouse clicking.
Hear that mouse? and then I wake up the next morning with neck pains that I have to I can't hide from. And she like, your neck hurt, huh? That's crazy. Remind me one time, my mom this one I figured out, my mom was a G. All right, I figured this out. I kind of knew, because she used to go by Roro. Her name was Rochelle. She go by Roro. I can never forget my first time ever smoking. I came home and I tried to sleep on the porch, the inside porch we had at the house. And my mom came in. She came on the porch, opened the door. She said, started smelling, but she didn't say nothing. I got nervous. I was like, uh-oh. She said, you got a migraine? I said, yeah. She said, smoking stress gives you migraines. And looked me dead in my eyes and closed the door. I said, oh, that's different.
And closed the door. Like, think on that.
Think on that. I know. I see you. And speaking of which, we were talking about this offline, in that, there's a lot of activity that we see, and I hate the fact that there's so many dudes out here that have been acting outrageous, specifically on that Drake side of things that we both of us been getting a lot of content off of, that operate as if we can't see them. What do you think it is about this generation of content that has people operating so recklessly, as if content is not going to be made, or as if we don't have eyes to see these things? Because you do a great job of wrapping people up when they show their ass.
To be honest, I think a lot of them are just full of themselves. Like they think they are smarter than what they are, and they feel
Mm,
like they can just get things off because, especially when they got a fan base, there's people like me and you are on the outside and we're looking like, bro, that ain't right. But
mhm.
their fans are going to still egg them on. So they're still going to do it regardless. Aiden Ross, you shouldn't have been entered yourself into that situation, but you still did it because you have your fans, your streamer fans who are still going to support you and tell you, no, bro, you're right. Go at them.
Mm,
It's like, and not everything is worth doing for content,
mhm.
you know? It's like you about to get your muffin cap blew back because you want to play these games. Don't do that,
Yeah.
Aiden.
It.
But I think a lot of them just don't care, and their fans amp them up and blow their heads up to just not care.
Mhm. How do you feel about
That's how I feel.
no? I'm telling you, we see eye to eye on a lot of these things. How do you feel about in terms of kind of the the direction that media has gone? Right. Somebody I'm really critical of on this space is like an academics because I feel like I understand using your platform and I understand that conflict is very important in terms of growing a channel and having some kind of tension be in your thumbnails and all these things. Like I understand the science of that. But when I think about even the reckless nature of having like a top 5 on the channel, we covered that last week. You covered that as well. What do you kind of feel? And it don't have to be about him, but just in general, what do you feel about this space uh, of media and where it's at in terms of specifically hip hop media?
I believe it's like gone downhill. It's going downhill drastically because even though like back in the day we had the likes of like Wendy Williams, if you're like on the East Coast, right? We had Miss Jones, even Star and Buck Rao, who went viral today. Um,
Yeah, I saw
while they
that.
weren't while they weren't like how can I say it? While they weren't like
Unbiased?
PG
Oh, PG
13 or
13. Yeah.
anything like that, like
Right.
they had their moments, they have their crazy phone call-ins from celebrities and stuff like that. Um, they still covered the stories as journalists,
Mm,
as radio personalities. They gave us the facts, they gave us the stories. I don't feel like they took a person like a top 5 and brought them on their platform and egged them on to continue to say threatening things
yes.
towards someone. And it's like these days there's no line. Like they will, instead of like teeter totter on the line,
Hmm.
the academics will jump across the line and like, no, we need this. And it's like, no, we don't need any negativity. And that's what it seems like. A lot of negativity is pushed. Like that's what the entertainment is
Hmm.
these days. Negativity, baddies, having a top 5 on your show where he's saying, oh, I'll unalive one of the biggest artists in the world. And then you have academics egging it on, like, yeah, you got to set the tone because there was a shooting up at Drake's house a couple months ago, right after the Kendrick beef. And it's like, why would you add
What is
fuel
that?
to the
What are we
fire?
doing here? This is real, real. Oh my God. These is real people. This is real
These are
situations.
real life. And you academics, you sitting with this gentleman who's just come home from allegedly beating a body. And then he's telling you, I will unalive someone. And then you saying, well, you got to set the tone. They just shot up your man who put money on your house, on your lawyer fees. They
Hmm.
just shot up his house. You got to set the tone. You got to protect him.
Yeah, it's.
Are you crazy?
I don't. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
And
I
it's
don't get it.
like that's constantly being pushed in the media. Like, be as reckless as possible because that's what the people want to watch. And it's
Hmm.
like this is no longer journalism. This is no longer good hip hop media. You
Hmm.
guys are just promoting nonsense.
Yeah.
And it's like we got to get back to the roots. We got to get back to being real journalists, having facts, having proof, not just your opinion.
That
Your
part.
opinion isn't the truth. So it's just it's bad. It's bad.
It's bad, but you know what? And excuse me for being overly optimistic, but when I see
Mhm.
individuals like yourself, when I see a lot of folks who kind of like came at the same time to the defense of Justin. I see Justin doing his thing. I see the FD signifier. I see Deleted. I see, Veil. I see folks who are operating from a space of responsible journalism, more so like the traditional way of doing it. I have a lot of hope because I'm like, now, not only is that existing in this weird space, but people are now showing it in their viewership, because it's one thing to criticize these folks, but they still be doing numbers. And it's like, well, damn it. Like, how do we stop that mess? And then how do we stop the folks from getting into that space? But I think now people are just getting to a place where they're just getting tired of it. I had this thought, and I want to know your thoughts on this. With as responsible as, and I'm not saying irresponsibility didn't exist back then, but as responsible as journalism was back in the era of the East Coast, West Coast thing that really kind of got fanned the flames in media, in the publications, the magazines and whatnot, in a responsible time period where that can still happen. Can you imagine how much more volatile that would have been under the circumstances of today? Can you imagine, like, first of all, Tupac with a Twitter account terrifies me every day of my life.
Oh my God. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Oh my God. We see how he was, like the random paparazzi catching him out on a random street, and he was lit up, turned up, and getting his stuff off. Catch him twiddling them thumbs. Oh my God. That would be insane.
And that's what I'm saying, is that's part of the responsibility I look at. I look at it and I say, you see all the documentaries about when Pac and Big passed away. Every one of these journalists are saying, damn, there was more that I should have did, or I felt like I should have used more responsibility. It's like, no, y'all are good, especially compared to the madness we see out of here, because folks are just starting up things. And it's crazy because the people who are starting up things are putting other people's body in the line of fire. Like even with the Aiden Ross situation, hearing him say, I wish you would step up, I'll slap you. No, wait, I'm not going to slap you. My security guard is gonna slap you.
Like that. You're putting your security guard's life online because you decided you wanted to be reckless. And then when AD said, listen, bullets don't got no name on it. And it's like, I don't think he really meant that, but it's like he's telling you none of us are immortal from whatever it is that could possibly happen. So now you're going to put your security guard in danger because you want to play tough on the internet. That goes to show you with how idiotic some of them are and how big-headed they are. They don't even care. They're putting someone else's life in danger. He also said in one of the clips, he asked his friend behind him, if I give you money, will you do something? It's like you're putting this boy on candid camera saying he will also unalive someone for $5,000. And it's like, these guys don't have no thought process.
They don't. And it's like, y'all still go outside. Y'all still go to the mall. Y'all still go to these different places. Like, maybe not a mall nowadays, but you still go out. And it's like, there's repercussions for things. And I think that a lot of folks have come up in a space where they haven't seen repercussions because it's just the internet to them. It's just the internet. But it's just the internet until it gets real. And I think that was the reason why, like, it's crazy. After I did my last live stream, that's when all the Aiden stuff popped off. And of course, I don't do my stories until Thursday. So all of this stuff passed by. I was like, I don't even want to cover it at this point. I'm done, because it was over with before I could even, he went from, doing the fake tough guy thing and putting his security on the line to,
lawyers, can't forget the lawyer.
AD's going to hear from my lawyer.
You're going to hear from my lawyer. And then found out his manager has close connection to this person or that person. And then it was, I want to send an apology. I shouldn't have gotten to it.
They got too real.
Like, just stay in your streamer lane, Aiden. Don't take on Drake's problems. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Well, and that's the part that I'm honestly concerned of, and I think a lot of that is shifting in that, when your bottom line is attached to when your bottom line is attached to you crashing out online, they can make an argument for the opposite of what you just said, and that no, it does count, or it does. I'm sorry, you said it doesn't. It's not worth it. Like, no, it is worth it because this got me more subscribers, and this got me, and I'm like, nah. In the long run, you got to come face these people. Like when academics did the show on Complex, and then Vince, who was it? What's my
Vic
guy's?
Mensa.
Vic Mensa. Yeah. When he sat there in front of him and was like, I should slap the taste out your mouth for all the stuff that you did on the Chirac coverage. When that happens, then you realize, like, oh, this ain't just reactions and angry tweets.
Yeah, this is people's real life that you're covering. Even I think G Herbo said something to him as well about it. It's like we really live this life that you're monetizing and profiting off of.
Mm-hmm.
I think G Herbo was saying how he was calling Lil Reese, I think his name was,
Mm-hmm.
the Grim Reaper. And he's like, why would you call this man with children in a family that? And now you got other people walking around calling him that. There's no telling what any random person could walk up to him and do. But you're in the comforts of your basement and you're making money off of these people's real lives.
Yeah.
And it's like, academics, you claim you learned from that, right? You learned from covering the Chirac wars or whatever, but here we are, you're going back to your nature
Right back to
of
the roots
what
of
got you here in the first place by promoting top five and the things that he was saying. So it's like, did you really learn from it?
right. And yeah,
I
that's a
don't think
great
so.
point. That's a great point. Because and now I look at it and it also makes me realize this. You know, I'm always looking for like some kind of silver lining in it. I realize, are the crash outs becoming more drastic, or is the shock value becoming more shocking because they can sense that it's no longer inclining but declining? Right? When I started seeing all of this stuff, this is my theory about especially seeing all of the Drake related stuff. Is he in motion right now the way that he is? Because I'm not going to tie anybody to anything. I don't know what connection he has with the Diddy situation. I don't know anything about that, right? I don't even cover that stuff on here because there's so much legal jargon and stuff involved. But if there's indeed some kind of connection there, could that be part of the reason why there's people operating in a way that just doesn't make any sense for somebody who plans on being out here exercising their freedom? You know what I'm saying? You see, I'm using coded language, but you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% where you getting at, because even with Diddy before he even got arrested and how he was just out and about,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, aren't you going through something? But you're operating as if it's like,
Yeah.
well, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're not gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be fine.
What are your kind of your thoughts as you see you kind of alluded to it today with Jaguar Wright got in there, and I've been watching all the content for the last X amount of years, where she's been exposing a lot of stuff that is now coming to fruition. What was kind of your reaction in seeing the way that people are switching up? Because a lot of folks try to write her off as just everything she says is nonsense. She's lost her mind and all of this and that. And I'm like, nah. How can we? Here's my opinion. How can we focus so much on her not having her mental faculties or her losing her mind and not wonder if that's what you truly believe? What could have caused somebody to get to that place? Could it be the very industry that she's making commentary on? Same thing I think about Orlando Brown, right? He says a lot of wild shit, but I feel like some of that wild shit is said to kind of protect his ability to say the wild shit, because he knows people will just write him off and people like, he's not a real threat. Yeah. But I wonder.
And I've seen a video of them two together. So
no, you didn't. Really?
Could you imagine? Yeah, they have a video together.
I did never seen that.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I saw like a 30-second clip on
oh my
Twitter
God
or something. But as far as Jaguar goes, I personally do feel like there is some type of situation there with her mentally. But I do think in some aspects she is competent. But I don't know if I fully believe her all the way with certain situations. Like I know, like we all know from back in the day, there's always been stories about Diddy being weird, right? Diddy parties. Like this wasn't like any type of secret. Oh, don't stay at the Diddy party. Like I've been hearing that for a long
some
time.
years, yeah.
So, but it's not as extreme as what I read the other day. But we knew like he was doing some stuff, suspect stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to Jaguar, I just feel like, how do you know all of these things?
Mm-hmm.
Who told you these things, or were you present? And if you were present,
Good point.
why were you present? And she's claimed she has like all of these tapes. And I'm like, who is entrusting you with all these tapes? And why haven't you brought those tapes to the authorities? Like, why are you hoarding them?
These are
You know?
questions. Yeah, yeah. Those are fair
So,
questions.
and I like, again, I do think like some of the stuff that she said, there is some validity to it. But then again, I also believe that a lot of these things she just pulls out of her back pocket. Like for example, for example, she said Megan Thee Stallion was a man. And I'm like, she's not a man,
Right.
Jaguar. Why are you pushing that narrative?
Why is that becoming a new narrative?
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's like, where are we going with this narrative?
Mm-hmm.
And then I seen today where she got into it with Star, um, on his platform.
Mm-hmm.
And she got on the call because she did Piers Morgan, and she got on the call, and she was low key kind of like trying to like taunt him or sun him. She was mocking him.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know Star from Star and Buck Wild,
He ain't gonna put up for that.
he's
Nah.
TTG. He's trained to go.
Right.
So he was trying to, I think he was trying to be reserved with her, trying to give her a chance. But she kept like mocking him for his stance of Jay-Z. I didn't even see what his stance was for Jay-Z.
Mm-hmm.
And then he reminded her who he was because he had met her before. And I guess she just didn't realize who she was talking to. So she realized, oh, I know your brother. Me and him are good friends. So she said that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it escalated. And then she started blurting out, I got tapes of your brother with a 15-year-old.
Yeah, that
And
was
I'm
wild.
like,
That was wild. Like you knew that and still engaged in this conversation the way that
and I'm
how we
like,
get here.
and I'm just like, 2 minutes ago, you just said his brother was your real good friend.
Mm-hmm.
But now, because you guys are arguing, you're saying that you got tapes of his brother with a 15-year-old.
That's a great
So I'm
point.
like, how many of those stories are you doing the same thing? But
Yeah.
again, I'm like, I feel like some of the stuff that she might say, there is some type of validity to it. But me personally, Monie, I don't believe everything she says.
Yeah.
And I think there is some type of delay, mental delay with her, because I've seen videos of her chilling with cult members. I've seen videos of her rubbing
Sheesh.
her deceased son's ashes on her body. So just like Jaguar, talented, beautiful voice,
Super talented.
um, can sing her face off, but I think her brand, her legacy has turned into her being someone who sits on a couch in a random room and spouts like conspiracy theories. So I don't know. I think with everything, the truth always comes to light.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like it might take a while. Listen, they said Jitty has been doing this stuff for 33 years. That's
33
more than I've
years.
been alive.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can't be in the dark for forever. Your truths are going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So the people she's saying are doing these deviant things, they're going to have to answer one day.
Yeah.
But I don't believe everything that she says. And then it's like, why are you going to the authorities if you have all these tapes?
And going to Piers Morgan too kind of bothers me when I'm seeing him eat all of this content up. And that's something I try to keep aware of too, is that, you know, we have to be careful who we confide our truths in, because somebody's looking at that and saying, this is why I have biases towards these people. I'm just glad it's all happening on my platform. And it's the same kind of ideology that I think goes into like academics, where it's like, who cares if these people, like, I'm not saying that's what he thinks, but I'm saying he exhibits behavior that looks like, who cares if these people get off next week? I'm gonna be live doing a reaction clip to that too.
Right.
And matter of fact, my stuff is going to go up even more. But it's the same thing I feel about a DJ Vlad when he does a throwback video the day somebody passes away, right? I even
Yes.
seen and I know Bootleg Kev, and I know him as a good dude, but seeing when Rich Homie Quan passed away, and then seeing he put up a video the same day before they even had a diagnosis of what exactly happened. The overdose thing wasn't even it was just a rumor at that point. There was a video about his possible connection to what his depression might have been. And I'm just like, the natural state of grieving has been thrown off to the side. And it's like people have become like it's animalistic. Like, folks have no kind of conscience, and they justify it by saying, well, this is my business. I'm only reporting the news. These are only the facts. But there's a level of like predatory behavior that's behind it. That's something that I can't get with.
Re-uploading content from 3 years ago has nothing to do with the current situation. That's just you being money hungry and having no morals and ethics. Because if someone passes away and you immediately start shuffling through your archive of content you had with this person to re-upload it and gain money off of it for a second time, you have no soul. Like, and especially because that person's probably talking about something that has nothing to do with the situation at hand.
Facts.
Like, why are we re-uploading this?
Yeah, and that's something that I guess we'll be faced with that, especially the deeper our archives become, and we see this. I just don't see us act. I don't see you and I, because of the human beings. I'm still getting to know you, still getting to know me, but I just feel like it's the human beings that we have, that we are. I just don't see that as being something that it's not worth losing your credibility, losing your morals in the name of this is just business. That's a circle of people that I hope I never have to come in contact with.
Listen, I feel like I know this is a newfound job almost for me, but I have to sleep at night, And I wouldn't want anything on my conscience just to say I got $1 from it.
Come on now. Hold on.
Especially when it's dealing. It's
hold on, I got to do
it. Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Monie got her first bomb today, because I know it's gonna be more today. Go ahead.
Especially when it's dealing with someone passing on.
Yeah.
No, it's not worth it. That's not worth it. Not at all. It is not. Listen, I can get $1 on a different topic that isn't as critical, It's not worth it. But some people don't care. Some people
operating without conscience until they got to be dealt with it. But it, like you said, everything in the dark eventually comes to light. I think people who are operating like that, what's going to be interesting about this next phase of my prediction is that as media gets back to being in the hands of people who do responsible journalism, as music gets back in the hands of people who are professionals and not necessarily folks with the skill to go viral, as all these things start to return, even sports media is getting where the commentary is more from the people who actually play the game and can give you the X's and O's. I think as these things start to kind of like repair themselves, because financially people are getting hurt by putting amateurs in these positions. I think secondly, the consumers are changing their behavior. I think that a lot of folks are going to have to like reassess their priorities and how they're going to make their next dollar, because that same circus trick ain't gonna work no more.
Nope. Like, we done seen it before.
Seen it all.
Give us something new.
Come on. You down to answer a few questions they got for you before you get into these reactions? Because we still doing reactions, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget. Okay. Lydia says, I would like to know Monie's take on if there's any true gatekeepers of the culture. My personal thought is that the common people are the true gatekeepers, but people have different takes. What do you kind of think of that?
If there is any true gatekeepers of the culture,
yeah.
As of today, I don't believe we have gatekeepers anymore. I don't, because I feel like if we did, we wouldn't have the material and the product that we have. When we had gatekeepers, you had to actually put out something with substance, something with a meaning. Now it's, I can upload a video on TikTok right now with a sound and it'll go viral, and all of a sudden I'm a hip hop artist, you know? We don't have the gatekeepers anymore. And I think um F what is his name? FD
Yeah,
Signifier.
FD
He
signifier.
put
Yeah,
a
yeah.
video up. He put a video up of what the culture feeling, and he has a segment in there where he talks about how we no longer have gatekeepers, and it's reflective in the music that we have now because
Mm-hmm.
anybody is just waking up and deciding, oh, I want to be a part of hip hop. I want to call myself a hip hop artist. Oh, I want to
Right.
be a singer. And it's like, no,
Yeah,
no. But we need to get back to that. And I think once we do get back to having gatekeepers of hip hop, especially, I think I don't think we'll be what we were before, but we'll be in a better space than where we are now
I agree.
because we'll have the politics and we'll have what do they call them? We'll have bullet points of what you have to do to be
Mm-hmm.
able to say you are an artist.
Well, and I think people are going to show it with their dollars too. I think that's something where,
Yeah.
because of the specifically in the music, because of streaming, you have folks who can put themselves out there and say, "Well, look. How am I not a real artist when this person only has 14 million subscribers or 14 million listeners on Spotify, and I have 16 or 60 million?" What do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
I got the same metrics. When you're operating by that kind of a barometer or rule, it can give you a lot of delusion that it's hard for people around you to say you're not right. But I think what's going to happen in this next stage, to kind of answer Lydia's question as well, is that I think that the gatekeeping won't actually be done by people in power positions. I think that our behaviors, right, our irritation with the way things have been, right, us being simple as us being tired of seeing our favorite artists go through the same demise, and then we lose them, and we now longer no
Right.
longer have the ability to see what they would have been like in their 30s and their 40s. Seeing this
Mm-hmm.
repeatedly, I think you start to have a generation that comes up and says, "Nah, I don't want to go through that heartbreak again," and
Right.
things change. I think even with putting folks who are professionals back in the seats that they should be in, what's going to happen is that the gatekeeping happens when people are like, "Do you really rap for real, or is this like you like one of them TikTok? Oh, you one of them, huh? Oh, that's cool. I'm not gonna pay for that, but I
Yeah.
stream it." I think
You got
that
a little bit of followers, you got a little bit of clout, and now all of a sudden you a music artist. Like
right.
that's not how this works. What happened to and you know what? And it's reflective. And once it comes time to perform, sell some shows, tickets for a show, it's like, yeah, you got all of these streams,
Hmm.
on Spotify or whatever, but it's not showing up when it's time to go on tour. It's not showing up when it's time to perform. It's not,
Right.
it's not,
It's not.
it's
You can't
not.
force
And
that. Uh,
listen, we need to get back to the gatekeeping. We need to
mhm.
get back to these people going to Walmart and performing outside in a parking lot.
I'm giving
Listen,
another one. I
Somebody
gotta let
gonna
that
have
one
to
go.
tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell
Come
it.
on, get back
we
out there. This is what you really want to do. Let's show me. Go do a hole in the wall show.
listen, we got to get back to the root, okay?
Build some
Because
character from these situations. Okay.
exactly,
You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
Last question here before we get into these reactions. And like I said, I do appreciate you being on here because I know that
Mhm.
these
Thank
stories
you.
that I've lined up here are going to be so dope to get your perspective on. But John says, does Monie have any experience in journalism? You kind of covered this a little bit already, but because her methods line up with journalistic ethics and standards, and it's great to see that in this space.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I got my liberal arts degree in journalism. I did some writing for small uh, publications. One was called Don't Trip Yet from back in the day. It didn't grow to be anything big, but I've gotten a lot of practice. I've had my own blogs during like the blog Tumblr era, where I did things like that. But mostly all the things that I've learned was in school. And they teach you 101, the basics of journalism. You go into things with morals and ethics. They try to teach the old school way where you don't give your opinion on things, but we're in a new age. We giving you the facts, but we also giving you our opinion on it. But in just me as a person in general, I don't try to be messy or add any extras, you know. I like to be fair. So that's why when I do my videos, if I'm saying something, I make sure I'm gonna give you the facts.
You're right.
I'm gonna give you the evidence because I
You're
don't
good
want
about
no
that. Heck yeah.
I don't want nobody coming back to my video and saying, "Hey, Monie, that wasn't right." It absolutely was right, and here's the proof of it. So that's kind of how I operate because one, I don't want to fall on my face and be wrong about anything. Not that I'm always right, but I try to follow a good standard as if I'm covering myself, you know, because if someone's covering me, I would want them to tell the story right. So that's what I try to lean on, and then, you know, what I learned in school a little bit.
See, and I think that's the key right there is, you know, I don't have any journalism history at all in this. Like, I mean, maybe a little bit in high school, I'll just learn the basics of this. But a lot of this does just come down to being the type of human being that operates with a code. You operate like I always did this because it's crazy, Monie, that we're sitting here talking about this type of content when not even 2 or 3 years ago, I was terrified of making videos about other people because I'm like, living out here, I'm going to meet these people eventually. Being an artist, I'm going to meet you eventually, and I have to answer to these things. And I refuse to even make, if you people go back down my timeline, wasn't making videos about other people. I was trying to make as much original content as possible. But when I got into this space, and shout out to my guy Ruslan, who's, you know, he's killing it in the Christian media space. He was the one that kind of let me know, like, well, are you having these conversations around your friends? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, are you developing opinions about some of these things as you see them come across your timeline? I'm like, yeah. He's like, so then why not share it if you're being responsible?
Right.
And that's when I kind of had the conclusion. And I want to ask you about your code as well. But for me, the thing that I say is, can it give value to my audience, one? And two, are these things that I would actually say to the person in real life? I was met with that one a few months ago when Lupe hopped up in here out of nowhere, and I was like, well, let's put this theory to the test then, Curtis.
Yes. I was in here for that one.
You was in for that one? Oh, that was a crazy day. But what are some of what are kind of your codes as you're making your content and you're making your reaction content and building up these stories? What is kind of the code that Monie goes by?
Yeah, similar codes. I like to, you know, be first and foremost, be truthful, tell the story as what it was reported as, you know. Don't add any extra people, don't add any extra facts. Just tell it plain and simple, plain as day. And then afterwards give my opinion on it. And then but when I'm giving my opinion, I try not to be disrespectful or anything like that.
Sure.
I might throw a little shade in there, but
can we talk about the most classic shade, the new vernacular that you added to the whole space of elite glazing?
Oh yeah.
Hey,
biggest eater. That's my favorite one.
You said that so casually that I was like, did I just hear what I heard? And then I rewound it and I said, slow it down. She just dissed you. Oh my gosh.
And give me a Don DeMarco real quick.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna.
I give you one of these too. I said, but it was done in such a way that I was like, nah, she didn't say that. Rewind it.
Yeah, because
she said that.
And too, I think I'm able to get it off real good because it's like it just comes to my head. I'm not trying to be funny or anything, but this is just really how I feel. So but yeah, and like you said, I like to, if I'm gonna say something, best believe I can say it to your face. Know?
Yeah.
So for example, if Drake watched my videos,
I know
Aubrey,
did.
I promise you, the things that I've said, I can say it to your face. Chubbs might not say it. But I'm gonna say it.
I'm gonna say it.
Okay.
Somebody gotta tell the truth, but I'm gonna tell it.
That's how I operate.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I operate. Just be real, you know, be authentic. don't try to be like salacious or anything like that. Just t- give it to us straight, give them to them straight. And if it's a story that I'm covering and I don't think that it's legit, I tell the cousins, listen, y'all, this sound like BS, but I'm giving it to y'all because it's a popular topic, you know,
Right.
and y'all can make your own decisions on it. And sometimes me and the cousins don't agree, and we get to going in the chat or get to going in the Discord. We always arguing in that Discord, but you know,
Why y'all arguing in the Discord? What y'all arguing in the Discord about?
listen, we got some cousins that like to start trouble.
Oh.
We got some cousins that like to start trouble in the Discord,
Yeah.
but it's all good. We a family.
That's how
But
it
yeah,
is.
ethics, just straight to the T. Give it to them the truth. Give my opinion, and if I'm saying something, best believe Monie is not afraid to tell you to your face. And plus, I know if this thing continues to grow and gets better, you never know. I might be invited to an event or something. And I want people to be like, okay, yeah, Monie probably chewed me out, but she was giving me the real. So I can respect it at the end of the day. I ain't gonna be mad at her. I ain't gonna call her a bobblehead or anything like that. Like,
Oh, I know they want to call me all kind of things. Look, it's crazy because I went to Lamert Park last week for a show, right? And I finally met Storm DeBarge. That was super dope. Finally met her in person after our interview we had. And
yeah.
I'm not gonna say the dude's name, but I made content where he made a statement about the way music should be made, and I just tore into that whole video. I seen him. He did one of these. Let's go. I was like, oh, so y'all be watching. So
I be watching.
So when I
And
tell
you know you ain't say nothing because you know there's some truth in it. You mad,
know there's
but
some
you
truth
know
in
there's
it.
some truth in it.
Like if I was
So
being
you can't even
reckless,
say nothing.
I would be the first one to be like, you know what, I was wilding. I was my fault. But I ain't said nothing. I think the issue is folks are used to shade being so stupid that they can dismiss it immediately. But when you formulate an articulate argument and people are like, you wasn't supposed to say that. You're supposed to let the dum-dums believe whatever I said. You're not supposed to be able to articulate that. I'm like, no, that's why we exist here. We have to exist here because of that.
Yeah, we can't do that. We can't get the stupidity off. We can't keep letting the lies get off. We gonna promote the truth. You know, we're not doing that, especially at least not on my platform. And I know you're not doing it. You're not letting the DIYers no mess.
Look, DIYers, I take all these hits because I see these folks in real life, and I get to meeting some of these folks, and I'm like, I don't even like you as a person, but I'm still gonna be responsible about my platform because I remember what it feels like to be on the other end as an artist trying to get on these platforms and seeing your whole narrative get flipped. Or seeing somebody like try to make you out to be something that you're not, or use the most salacious part where it wasn't even salacious, but because of the way they cut it, they made it. So now that I'm in this space, I'm like, first of all, I got to be responsible. Second of all, when I talk to artists, I want artists to feel like this is home and not a place where somebody's predatory on the clickbait. Because I'm like, fam, if you do great conversation, which I think you are so great at, I don't care what the topic is, I'll tap in. I'm going to tap in even if it's artists that I don't even like. I just know your commentary is going to be something that makes it so valuable to be there. That's something I hold near and dear. And it's crazy because my audience now, they don't necessarily care about the big names, the rich celebrities. They want to know if it's a rich conversation. And that's what I'm here for.
Yes.
All right. Yes. So I put up your information here. Make sure you definitely go subscribe. We're not done here. I just want to make sure we had an opportunity for y'all to get to know Monie. In case this is your first time experiencing, go subscribe to that channel right now. What are we even talking about, first and foremost? Any other places that you would like to connect them with you before we get into these reaction videos?
I do, of course, the YouTube or whatever. I am mostly on Twitter. My username is Monie Love. It is, if you go on my YouTube, it is in the description box for you to just click on easily, but it is Monie Love on Twitter. I have Instagram as well and TikTok, but I don't really be over there.
You'll be on TikTok. Yeah, I'm about to get, if it wasn't for the weirdos that make fake pages of me, I would have been deleted my TikTok.
You getting fake pages.
Here I was thinking like, ain't nobody worried about me over here. You know, I'm just a little old Curtis King. And I'm like, it's fools who will literally use a profile pic I don't even got access to. And they posting up content like it's me. And I'm like, now I got to exist here just so they know what the real page is. I debated on making a page that's like, my name is Curtis King. It's the only post you're going to ever see from me. This is my ID. Okay? I'm in my house. This is a piece of paper with me holding. They'll be like, no, that's AI.
That's AI.
So yeah, I've been getting the weird. It's been,
my God.
It's been some weird stuff where, you know, folks are monetizing because I didn't really lean into the monetization of TikTok. It just got weird. So I have a page there that I'm like not really treating. Plus, I don't like the way they do music either on there. Like, if I post longer than a minute of my own music, it gets muted.
What?
Yeah, it's so weird over there. But nonetheless, I understand why that's like the redhead stepchild. I understand that. I get it.
Yeah.
But that being said, DIYers, that is Monie. We are getting ready to get into some reaction clips. Obviously, you know these things are going to drop on Monday and Wednesday. But I'm going to leave this one up for you guys to come back to. But now, let's get into some content, huh?
Let's get into it.
Come on.
DIY.